everyone, and welcome to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host. Thanks so much for spending part of your day with me today. I greatly appreciate it. Well, we're going to highlight the Branford Forum today, which is located in Branford, Connecticut. And Daniel Rabin, Ph.D., is going to be my guest today. And Dan, thanks so much for being here today. I greatly appreciate your time.
Well, thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure to join you today.
Well, wonderful. I'm so glad that I was able to finally get you as an interview today. I know we've been talking about this for weeks, so I really want to thank you for taking time out to do this today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
You know what? In the Harbor News, which is our local newspaper, I find your listings for the Branford Forum all the time. You do so many wonderful things, and we'll talk about that for a second. But I'd like to enlighten the viewers about you and your background. Tell us about yourself.
Oh, well, I was trained as a scientist, and for about 20 years, I worked in research at Bayer in West Haven. And after they closed that facility down and moved to New Jersey, I started working as a medical writer at the France Foundation, which is a medical education company in Old Lyme. And I worked there for, I guess, about 10 or 11 years. And about 4 years ago, I retired. So I had been attending the Branford Forum when Mark Schwartz was chairing it, and I found it to be very enjoyable. It was always interesting and enlightening. And then, just at about the same time that I decided to retire, Mark was looking to step back from his responsibility at the Branford Forum and asked if I'd be interested. So it seemed like a wonderful transition to retirement and to do something interesting that might be useful for the community. So I agreed to do that, and we've been enjoying it ever since. At least I have. I hope the participants have as well. That was about 4 years ago.
Did you think when you were in the medical community, then moving towards retirement, that you would be involved in an establishment such as the Branford Forum?
Well, I guess I was hoping to find something that was interesting and would, in a sense, pay back all of the benefits that I had gleaned from being a resident in Branford. It's a wonderful community, and that the Branford Forum seemed like a great opportunity. And I've met some wonderful people doing it, and sometimes these things just kind of happen. It's a wonderful serendipity of life that I've been able to benefit from.
Well, I've been doing some research on the internet, and as your suggestion of looking at YouTube, also I did Google and found out that you folks started, I think, around 2009. Why don't you tell the viewer what the Branford Forum is all about?
Yes, the Branford Forum is a community group that meets approximately once a month. We don't meet in the summer, but it's an opportunity for people to get together and learn about subjects that might be new, might be of ongoing interest to them, from an expert in the area, and then to discuss and ask questions. So unlike a lot of our education that we get from the news, this is, we try to present an in-depth opportunity where the issues can be explored in a nonpartisan, unbiased way. And then the participants get to ask their questions or air their viewpoints, and then we can discuss them. So we've had a series of programs about healthcare, about politics, about international relations, about the environment and climate. And I think it's been quite useful for me. I believe it's been useful also for the participants. Traditionally, we were meeting in person, either at the Willoughby Wallace Memorial Library or at the Branford Blackstone Library. And of course, this year that wasn't possible, so we've been meeting by Zoom, and in a way that's been uh, unpleasant in that we couldn't get together, but it's also enabled people from other parts of the country, some people who used to live in Branford who've moved, or people who have heard about the Branford Forum and live in other parts of the country, to participate. And it's also enabled us to recruit speakers from other parts of the country. So it's been a mixed blessing, really.
Tell me about your responsibilities. When Mark decided to leave, what did he leave in his wake? What are some of the things that you and your colleagues do?
Well, I think first of all, he left us a tradition of excellence, and really, Mark is a person who has a very penetrating curiosity, and he was very conscientious about inviting excellent speakers and authorities. So for me, it was kind of uh, awesome to try to repeat what he did and try to take it up a notch and see whatever expertise I could bring to the forum. Um, the way it's organized is I'm the leader of the forum, and there are several others, Lloyd Buzzell and Steve Rolnick, who are on our steering committee. Barry Nan and who's moved away from the shoreline, and Mark Schwartz have stepped back, and they've resigned from the steering committee. But basically, we get together, we brainstorm different speakers who are either excellent speakers about their topics, or they're experts on something that's current and extremely interesting. And we try to identify people, of course, who are both. For example, we have a Professor Saad Omer, who will be coming in the spring, who will be talking about COVID and vaccinations for the disease. He's an epidemiologist who's been looking at COVID, and he'll be speaking about the disease, the vaccination, and also about the acceptance of the vaccination. So I think that'll be very timely. In the fall, Jacob Hacker came and talked about the politics of our country and the developments in the Republican Party, which was extremely interesting. And Harold Koh came and gave his perspective on Donald Trump's foreign policy. So we try to keep it current, things that are interesting, but also at a very high quality. And I know those speakers certainly fit that bill.
Now, how do you indeed make a decision as to who you would like to select as a speaker? You're mentioning a steering committee. I mean, do all of you have a conversation as to what you would like to present to the public?
Yes, I think we all feel responsible to come up with new ideas. Um, the speakers, of course, are vetted, and ironically, one of the most useful things is to go on YouTube and to look at presentations that these experts have given. Several years ago, there was one speaker who, from his website and his CV, seemed wonderful, and I went on YouTube and I said, "Oh no, this just isn't going to work." We also solicit suggestions from our participants when we're in person, we pass around a clipboard and people can write their ideas down. Some of the ideas come from me. Some of the ideas come from just people who we know, who will either send an email or mention excellent speakers in the course of our conversation. And of course, the steering committee has come up with several of the ideas. So we look at their credentials. We look at their YouTube videos to see if they how they communicate with an audience, and whether they're up to date. And then we invite them, and surprisingly, a lot of them say yes. So it's wonderful.
Now, I understand that the speakers speak for free, the attendees come for free. How on earth do you generate any kind of funding? Do you need any money to do what you do?
Well, thank you for offering, but it's all without money, and that's been one of the wonderful things about this volunteer organization. As you mentioned, it's free to the public and open to everyone who wants to join us. We tell the speakers right up front in our invitation letter that we're unable to provide honoraria. Staffing whenever necessary to support our programs. So the whole operation that that a lot of organizations are required to do, that is fundraising, we don't have that burden, and it's really allowed us to be very well, of course, unencumbered, but not beholden to any supporters in terms of the type or the slant of the program. So we are really, all of us are volunteers. I'm a volunteer, the steering committee, etc. We're able to concentrate really on the thing that we want to do, and that is bring quality programs to Branford and to the shoreline, whoever wants to join us.
Let's hold that thought. We're going to take a break. I'm Deborah Gilbert. You're tuned into Arts and Entertainment. We'll be right back.
So you think you're safe in your COVID bubble, huh? You don't wear your mask because you're around each other all the time and you trust each other. If only it were that simple. Let's say you go over to your neighbor's house. That's okay, right? They're in your bubble. But your neighbor goes to work and has a coworker that doesn't wear a mask over his nose. And that coworker has a family and grown children that also go to work. Your neighbor also has a close relative who goes to bonfires at another friend's house regularly, where everyone is close together but don't wear masks because they're outside, and they all have families and coworkers. That's just your neighbor. That doesn't include your neighbor's neighbors, or your sister, your aunt, your best friend, or even your dad. The point is, everyone you know has a network. Everyone in their network has a network, and it only grows from there. So when you think you're hanging out with just 10 people, you're really hanging out with 100, 500, maybe 1,000. We'd hate to burst your bubble, but you don't have one. So think twice before venturing out. Keep your guard and your mask up whenever you're around anyone who doesn't live in your immediate household, even if they're trusted family or friends. That's the best way to stay safe and healthy.
Hello and welcome back to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host. Thanks so much again for staying with me. Again, we're talking about the Branford Forum, and Dan Rabin continues to be my guest today. And Dan, thanks so much for staying with us. Greatly appreciate it.
Great. It's an interesting discussion. I appreciate your having me.
Oh, wonderful. You know what, during the public service announcement during our break, as well as what you mentioned before, we should talk a little bit about COVID. How has that affected your presentations? You mentioned you've gone to Zoom?
Yes, we're doing our programs by Zoom, and it's enabled both participants and speakers from far away to join us. So it's been a mixed blessing, but we're getting through. It's been once we learn how to manipulate Zoom, work through it, and I think and also people have become accustomed to it. I think it's been different, but not too bad.
How have your attendees been able to find out and figure out how to Zoom in to be able to be a part of your lectures? I mean, do you email them? How does everybody become a part of the program?
Yes, that's a good question. Over the years, we've assembled an email list of people who are interested in the Branford Forum. And now we're over 550 people on that list. So we send out e-blast announcements through MailChimp. It was state of the art when we started doing it. I'm sure there are better ways now, but it's working just fine. And we send announcements in the beginning of the season, and then at 3 weeks and 1 week and 1 day before the program to alert people. If anybody's interested, they can contact me. My email address is RABIN KUX, as in X-ray, at sbcglobal.net. If you'd like to be added to our email list, I'll gladly do that. Anyone can unsubscribe. I have to say, not too many people do, but if you move away or you're no longer interested, you can easily unsubscribe from our list. And we don't share your names or our list with anybody else. We don't sell it. We don't profit from it. It's only for the Branford Forum. So we invite anybody who's interested to send me an email and I'll add you to our list. As you mentioned before, Deborah, we also have announcements in the local newspapers, and also the library has been very helpful in adding our programs to their email announcements. So we've been lucky. We usually have anywhere between 40 and 60 people signing in. It was about at that same level before the COVID, but it's continued at the same level. So we've been pleasantly surprised by that.
Now, what is 2021 looking like for you and for the forum? Have you scheduled any speakers that far out?
Well, we're continuing to do the programs by Zoom, and we have actually been able to recruit 5 speakers for the spring, starting in January. As I mentioned, Professor Omer will be talking about COVID. Charlotte Dinello will be giving her program on an introduction to opera. She was unable to join us in the fall, but she's going to do that in the spring. Professor Eitan Hirsch from Tufts will be talking about political involvement at the local level. He's an expert on electoral politics and polling, and we're very happy to be able to have him. Jesus Amadeo from New York will be talking about assessing the impact of social programs. So his company, MDRC, has applied the tools of clinical trials, drug clinical trials, to questions of social importance, and he will be speaking about some of those programs, an introduction to the methodology, as well as some of the results they've been able to obtain. And finally, Professor David Blight from Yale, who received the Pulitzer Prize last year for his work on Frederick Douglass, will be talking about race relations in the United States. So we've just gotten a series of dates from the library, and I'm reaching out to the faculty to try to arrange them. But as soon as that schedule is finalized, hopefully within a week or two, we'll be blasting that out to our faithful following, and they'll be able to reserve the date. So we're very excited for what I think will be an extremely interesting spring semester.
We probably have some very interesting viewers that are watching us today. If there is someone that would like to submit themselves to you as a potential speaker, how would they be able to do that?
Well, that would be great. We love for volunteers to step up and share their programs, their experience with us. Again, just send me an email, rabinkux@sbcglobal.net. And we'd love to hear from anyone who'd like to join us, either as a participant or a speaker.
Now, with Zoom being where things are at right now at this time, and hopefully things will change in 2021, is your location the library in Branford where you meet?
Yes, in Branford, either at the Willoughby Wallace Memorial Library or at the Blackstone Library. By the time the fall semester comes around, we hope to be live again, and we'll let everybody know where where the site will be.
Now, if you do end up going back to the library, will you still be able to Zoom to get your global or national audience watching you?
That's a good question. I don't know what the answer is. So we'll have to see if we can get somebody who's willing and able to do the to log in and do the Zoom recordings. I think that would be a good idea.
Why don't we give you an opportunity to talk to the viewer? What would you like them to know about the forum?
Well, we believe and we hope that the forum is an opportunity for people to learn in depth about different subjects. We invite experts, but we tell them right up front that we have a sophisticated but lay audience, and they present to that level. We hope that take that again. It's a challenge for a lot of our presenters who are experts in their area to present in an interesting way to a lay audience. And I think it really presents a challenge for them to distill the essential issues of their field. And I think our best presenters are really able to do that. That's why we go for the best. I think our Q&A also presents an opportunity for the participants to either clarify issues that they don't understand perfectly and they want more explanation, or to bring their own viewpoints and have their questions answered by the experts in the area. So it's an invaluable part of the program, and we tell our presenters we'd like you to present for 30 to 40 minutes, and we reserve 30 to 40 minutes at the end of our program for Q&A. And I think that's an equally valuable part of the interaction between the participants and the presenter. We like people to be very involved. It's not just a talking head, but rather an interactive session. So as I mentioned before, if people have ideas about new presenters or people they'd like to hear again, or they would like to present themselves, we invite you to step forward and contact us.
Well, Dan, thank you very much for your time. We've run out of time, and I want to thank you very much for sharing your time about yourself and also about the Branford Forum.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for featuring the Branford Forum.
I'm Deborah Gilbert. You've been tuned into Arts and Entertainment. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'll see you again next time.